Hello everybody, my name is Klaus, this is my house, and today we're going to be doing our second PC build. Now before, it was my girlfriend's computer, and we made it look pretty. But it's time for me, and I need my honey to look sexy. Alright guys, without further ado, we can get into the parts. Now for the case, you might actually think to yourself, oh, this looks really similar. What is that? Well, this is the big brother of the case that you saw me build for my girlfriend's computer. Now, this is really the main upgrade here for me. I'm moving away from the Z97 platform and I'm going to the Z170 chipset. So we have an Asus Maximus 8 Hero motherboard. We have 16 gigs of Vengeance LPX DDR4. Rated for 3,000. Can we get that to focus? 3,000? There we go. 3,000 megahertz. So basically, I'm effectively doubling my my clock speed for my memory, which is really cool. We have the 6700K i7. Moving my GTX 980 over. This is an MSI. If you are wondering, I think it's the gaming something 4G blah 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 blah. And then we have the Thermal Take Water 3.0 Ultimate. Now this is actually an addition. They come in 120, 240, and this is the 360 millimeter radiator slash fan combination. So this is the triple fan, and we're gonna actually be mounting that right across the top here. And I think we're gonna actually max out all the fans. We're gonna have a 140 over here in the back, we're gonna have two 140s up front, and we're gonna have the 360 along the top. So we're gonna max out the fans. Hopefully we can make this thing sound super quiet. The only parts that you aren't seeing here right now are pretty much my hard drive, my power supply, and possibly a sound card. I'm not 100% sure if I want to use that yet. And you guys can see that stuff. It's all still sitting in the old case. All the remnants. Anyways, it's about time to build this sucker, so let's do it. Alright, so if I didn't say it enough last time, Fantex is hitting it out of the park, in my opinion, with these cases. This is so open. We have optional hard drive bays where we can mount all sorts of stuff here if we really desired to, but I'm actually just going to forego all of that, and you'll see why in a bit. We have this same basement, which is going to isolate our power supply, which would be really nice. And then I don't think you guys can really see it, but this coating here is actually a foam. So this is going to be like noise dampening, which is going to be very good for keeping this PC quiet and those recordings clean. As you can see, it came completely hooked up with case fans, and you might be wondering, what the hell is this thing here? Well, that is a very interesting question. If we flip around to the back here, you can actually see that we have our own fan controller. Now, it's still only going to use one header, so I may end up not using it after all, but it's still a good option to have if I start running out of fan headers, which I probably won't. We can see back here I also have two SSD mounts, which I will be using. And then in the bottom we still have the same hard drive bay type deal that we had on the mini ITX case. So I'm actually not going to use any of these front bays here. Everything is going to be down on those bays. The other nice feature about this is there's a lot of space back here to hide cables. And you can see that we even have the same cable hiding wire thingy, mabobber, velcro crap in the back. And that is going to prove super useful. On top of that, got a whole accessory box I haven't even looked in yet, so if I run into any sorts of problems, I need screws, anything, I'm gonna go right in here. Alright guys, so basically I just got the motherboard mounted in there, and I'm gonna take some time to think about it. I'm gonna have all day. I actually took some time off of work to finish up my girlfriend's PC, and that went a lot quicker than I thought, so I decided I'd at least start on this one, pop some of the parts in. But it's getting to that point where I do have to go to work, so I'm gonna leave you here. You'll probably see me later tonight. Hopefully we can get something going. I just don't know where I want to start first. There's so much that I have to put in there, and I need to figure out the easiest way to do that. It's always really good to plan ahead when you're doing these types of builds, just because things can get complicated, and even with a more simple build like what my girlfriend's was, I had to take that water cooler off like 3 times because I kept putting it on and then being like, oh shit, I need to get to this like CPU header thing, or you know, like, oh, I need to get to a fan header, or it became a mess after a little while. So it's always a good idea to at least break things down, have a plan, and not go into it so willy-nilly. And that's not that it's difficult, it's just you don't want to do something and then realize you have to undo it, because it's just added time. Alright guys, hopefully this is going to work out okay. This is a little bit off the cuff. I am doing this by myself, but I needed to kind of show you guys one of the cool little features with these Phanteks cases. So the hard drive bay mounting thing has these little flaps on the side that you can just pop out. And basically what you do is you just take your hard drive, let's say, and put it right there in the middle. Oh, that didn't work. Now it's very imperative that we line up the holes properly. Alright. Seems like we got it. Nice little locking sound once we got it all in. And then basically all you do is you just snap those side tabs back in. Got a nice little click there. And you're all good to go. Your hard drive is in place. Alright, so for the hard drives it's going to be pretty simple. We're just going to go into the mounting bay and we're just going to find where it needs to go and just slide it on in. And boom, we're all good to go. If I wanted to remove it, I just pull these tabs and pop it back out. But it's all in there. Now the solid state drives are very much the same, where we have these little nubs here. And all we're gonna do is we're gonna look on the back. We find where the big holes are. Try and line it up fairly well. Just push in and slide down. And there you go, everybody. We have a mounted 840 Pro. Now I'm going to go ahead and do the same thing for our 850, and we'll be back with the next little bit. Alright, so the wonderful thing about PC parts is, well, the technology changes. Things generally stay the same for the most part, and that's going to be the argument I have for this CPU locking mechanism. Intel's done a great job of, well, I guess even ASUS has kept a really good job of making sure that this whole locking mechanism has stayed fairly standard. The one thing to note again, just like last time, which I did mention after the fact, is we have our identifier here. We want to make sure that our triangles are pointing in the exact same direction. And we also have 2 white identifiers on both sides, letting us know where the little teeth are at on our CPU as we drop it in. So without further ado, let's go for it. Very carefully, I'm not touching the bottom, I'm not touching the pins, and we just want to drop it in. You don't want to push it down, you don't want to mess with it, you just want to lay it flat and let this socket lock take care of all that hard work for you. So basically what we're going to do is we're going to drop down our little socket locker. We're going to push forward, and you'll see that it pops off. Now basically this is just helping you provide even pressure as you're locking in the CPU. And yeah, pretty much that's it, guys. I was thinking about what to do next, and the really nice part about this is this top part right here where we're gonna mount our radiator. We could probably even mount the CPU cooler next if I really wanted to. And the best part about it is you can see with this screw here and this one over there, we can actually remove this whole section and mount the radiator separately. Now the good part about that is that it's still going to allow us to access this CPU power pin and these fan headers over here, which I definitely will be using since we are maxing out all of our fans. Beyond that, I don't think there's really much left to do, guys. I mean, we're gonna drop in a video card, we're gonna put some RAM in, we're gonna route cables here and there, but that's pretty much it. Alrighty guys, so the one thing, the lesson of these builds really I think is plan ahead. So you can see that I actually have the SATA cables mounted for all of my 3 hard drives. Well, I guess 2 solid states and 1 hard drive, but you get the picture. I'm not going to connect all of them up right away because I've had issues with installation before where I'll have 2 drives hooked up and I'll tell it to install on one drive, and then it actually puts like the recovery section on the other drive. And I had that problem with the build that I was currently, well, the old build that I was using, and it took me a little bit to actually fix that. I had to end up reinstalling Windows 7 altogether. But you might be asking, why is this planning ahead? Well, let me just show you the scale of things. If I can set this down ever so slightly. We're already covering the SATA ports. So basically what would have happened was I would have mounted my video card and then had to go underneath somehow and manage to hit all 3 of those SATA ports. And just throwing it out there, that would not have been an easy task. Mounting a graphics card overall is actually a very easy task. We just drop it in and lock it. Done. There we go. The video card is mounted. I think the next thing I'm going to do is just start routing my power cords because I can. I'm not going to put in the power supply yet, but I want to get everything situated first. I'll put the power supply in last, but I basically need everything in place before I do the CPU cooler. And I'm just doing that to keep things easy on myself. It's less stuff that I'm going to have to remove. For instance, I could mount the CPU cooler and then I could remove this section, but then I would have the rad hanging off and then it's being held by the CPU mount, and I don't really want to mess with that too much. Alright guys, I gotta say, this is probably some of the cleanest cabling that I have ever done. I mean, really the only things that are going to be visible, I guess, is the CPU guy up here, which is probably hard to see since it's pretty much black on black. These cables here, and then this coming from the graphics card, and there's really nothing more that I can do with this. It would probably look nicer with custom sleeving. This stuff down here, you're not really going to end up seeing much of this. This is just all going down there in the front panel headers and stuff like that for the power switch, reset switch, hard drive light, all that crap. But you can see this little fan header right here. You're not really going to be able to see these guys all that much. Now there is one exception, and that is usually the audio, but as you can see, Asus has very smartly put that right here, I believe. And I could be wrong, but everything seems to be on the bottom, which is really nice. Even on the MSI motherboard that I had before, it was like up here, so I had this one weird wire that came through all the PCI slots and ended up here. All in all, this is going to be a really clean looking build, and I'm really happy with it. So like I said, the next things that we're going to do is really mess with these cables, make sure they're all nice and tidy. And then you can see I got all my cables back here, just waiting on a power supply. So that's going to be next for us. After we get done with the power supply, I'm going to go ahead and start messing with our radiator, get our CPU cooler on there. And last thing is going to be the RAM, just because I feel like RAM is fragile and it deserves to be last. Alright guys, I've basically hooked up everything. The power supply is in there, and while it looks kind of ugly from the back, I suppose you could say, it's actually probably one of the best cable routing jobs I've done. Now, I definitely could have spent, I don't know, maybe an hour or two planning out where I'm going to route each and every single cable, but it just looks damn good. And I gotta say, my job is entirely reliant on this fantastic case. I'm just gonna talk so highly of Fantex because this ATX Evolve case is it's just the nicest thing. I mean, it doesn't really matter what the back looks like, right? If the front just looks so damn pretty. Like, where are the wires, people? Yeah, okay, we got this one right here, whatever. We can see the motherboard guys over there, okay, fine. But just the lack of cables that are running across this board and that are visible on the front panel of the case is absolutely ridiculous. All right, so definitely one of my favorite parts about this case. Boom, baby. This is where we're gonna mount our 3-fan radiator, and it pops right out. So I don't have to mess around with jamming my hands in the case. I just mount it right here, whoop, slide it right in, and we are good to go. Now, the best part about this is it's entirely color coded. Now you can kind of tell, just to give an example here, everything on this case uses the black screws, except for this radiator mount. It uses, I don't know if we can get it through there. It's using those silver screws down there at the bottom here by my thumb. So you just remove those silver screws and boom, thing pops right out. I just want to keep talking about how great this case is, honestly. I mean, there is a whole myriad of other components, but I swear to God, the case is making this build. Now, I haven't really talked about Thermaltake at all, or really my choice in radiator. I don't have it out right now. It's still in the box, and as you can see, this is a big sucker. I'm gonna leave this here for a second because I'm not quite ready to mount the fans and all that stuff. But I did want to give you guys a little bit of an opportunity to take a look at some of the stuff that actually comes with one of these all-in-one water coolers, if you're thinking about it. Now, I have a Corsair H75, and that's what I put in my girlfriend's computer that you saw in the last video. But basically what you're going to get is you're going to get some Intel mounting brackets. The AMD ones are in here, so you can do it on either build. They have all sorts of splitters and pieces and parts, and you know, all your mounting brackets and screws. All of this is basically to mount the back plate on the front. Mine is coming with 3 fans. Depending on the one you get, it could be just 1 or 2 even. I guess I might as well show it. It does come with instructions, so I recommend you follow those if you haven't ever done that before. The one thing that I do want to say from Thermaltake, and I haven't gotten into the actual cooling performance, and I don't know how much it's going to stack up going from a 120 millimeter radiator to a 360 millimeter radiator, but the fans, man, the fans already have this braided material, whereas the other ones are your typical CPU fan with the exposed wires. Even the extension cables are braided, and pretty much all I gotta say is good job Thermaltake on that one. We'll see how the cooling performance goes, but the product itself is very, very high quality, it appears. Alrighty guys, this is honestly the easiest I've ever had a time with installing a radiator. I mean, this is ridiculous, just having it pulled out like this, being able to get everywhere I need to, all the leverage. Normally what's happening is you're in your case and you know you're tucked up into this corner and you're trying to get leverage, but you got your graphics card in the way or your power cords or whatever. I mean, this is just a nice build, so that's not totally the case. If I had to do this inside, the graphics card would not be in here. But you can just see, I mean, this feature alone, especially if you're going to go for water cooling, even if it's not all in one, is just so useful. And I mean, it just would be super awesome to see other companies think of using this idea in their cases as well. All right, guys, we're close here to being done. We're not quite there. I still got to throw that RAM in, and I still have to tighten this down. But I guess I was just going to give a general tip for those of you that haven't built a computer before, but you are really interested in doing so. When it comes to CPU cooler, you want to be super careful, especially if you're getting a new Skylake chip. People have been tightening their crap down too hard and actually damaging the CPUs. So basically, the best way to do it is to just kind of go in a star pattern. So I'll start here. It's going to start to get tight. I'll go to here. It'll start getting tight. It'll start getting tight. And then you start going to this one. You go until that gets tight. You don't want to go super tight. You don't want to break it. You just want to go till it's snug. You want to make sure that that's on there. And essentially, you're going to keep repeating this over and over and over again until all of your stuff is just snug. Alright guys, so that's pretty much it. I'm going to throw that RAM in. I might give you one more beauty shot of the way the computer looks, and then we're going to throw some Windows 10 on it. Alright everybody, here she is. We have our power supply, our graphics card, we have our lovely 360mm radiator, we have 240mm fans up front, 140mm fan in the back, we have our 16 gigs of DDR4 capable of overclocking to 3000 megahertz. And yeah, we got a hard drive back here, and we have two SSDs hidden behind our motherboard. Now, for the most part, everything in the front is done. I think I mentioned before, I still have a sound card, and if I did, I would be mounting it here, or if it's one of the smaller ones, I'll probably mount it there. And that's just depending on how the recordings sound right off the bat. If it doesn't have any noise or any problems like that, then I'll be super happy. The old noise card, sound card in that motherboard was a real piece of shit, and it was really noisy audio. So hopefully it's a little bit better over here. I really want to give this puppy a test drive, so let's throw some Windows 10 on it, and then I can wrap up the back by plugging in all the other hard drives and crap.
Alrighty, everybody, as you can see, we have had quite the transition between that build video and this one. Basically, just got Windows 10 up and running. It's running really fast. I'm actually kind of surprised how much faster it is than Windows 7. But that being said, it's just kind of a catch-up game now, trying to get all my stuff back installed so we can resume what we're doing. I hope you've enjoyed this series. If you found it helpful, fantastic. If not, yeah, well, hey, whatever. At least you saw the computer builds. You're a little bit smarter than you were yesterday or the day before, or however these videos come out. And yeah, if you have any sort of questions, just let me know. We can always chit chat about this topic more if you guys are interested. I know we have some console players. We also have a lot of PC gamers. So I don't know, maybe we could do a couple more of these types of videos, or just talk about this random stuff. I'm personally a big proponent of PC gaming, so I would push that. I would do videos on that. Anyways, I hope you have enjoyed these builds, and yeah, do what you do, guys. Leave a comment down below and like and all that good crap. And yeah, I'll see you back here next time for some more House of Klaus.